Good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, on this very special edition of the debate this evening. Tonight, the Prime Minister has brought the country together, the whole country together, with a remarkable, beautifully expressed, genuine, heartfelt, but most importantly, thoroughly effective 30-minute television address this evening. I shall go into the 9 points that he made in the course of that beautiful appeal later in my program. But suffice to say at the start of the debate tonight that this is the purest form of democracy to tackle a crisis which has reached the world's largest democracy. Because what the Prime Minister did tonight was in no way imposing. He was not imposing upon the people of India at a time of vulnerability. Instead, by putting the onus on the people through a tone that was explanatory rather than commanding, he reaffirmed the notion that the people of India will guide the future of this crisis in terms of the spread. The people of India will stop the spread of this crisis. The people of India will fight this crisis. And the state will act together by shaping the scientific solutions along the way. And therefore, I would say, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the people of this country are with you all the way, all the way. Lead on, we will fight this together. Lead on, we will fight this through the Janta Curfew. Lead on, Prime Minister, because now this is no longer the government's efforts. It is going to be a battle between 130 crore Indians and the coronavirus. Debate number one, should I call it discussion, is on the Prime Minister's remarkable address to the nation, which made us all feel so proud. Which truly made us feel so proud. The Prime Minister unites India with a Janta Curfew appeal. And debate number two, beyond political debates, now time to unite in the war against corona. That's debate number two, and here are the headlines. Here are the headlines this Friday evening, Thursday evening, on the debate tonight.
22 मार्च रविवार को सुबह 7 बजे से रात 9 बजे तक सभी देशवासियों को जनता कर्फ्यू का पालन करना है.
It's a move like no other. Prime Minister Narendra Modi goes on television and appeals for a Janta curfew from 7 a.m. this Sunday.
इस वैश्विक महामारी का मुकाबला करने के लिए दो प्रमुख बातों की आवश्यकता है. पहला, संकल्प, और दूसरा, संयम.
With the resolve and restraint, Sankalp and Sanyam message, the Prime Minister unites India in the war against coronavirus.
बीते कुछ दिनों से एक ऐसा माहौल बन रहा है, ऐसा लग रहा है जैसे हम संकट से बचे हुए हैं.
He cautions citizens against complacency. Prime Minister leads from the front.
नहीं, ये कतई ठीक नहीं है, उसको न करें.
A humanitarian and inclusive statement of intent. Narendra Modi allays fears with his assurances. India is talking about the 9-point specific call for action that resonates across India tonight. India stands firmly with our Prime Minister.
पूरी शक्ति के साथ आगे बढ़े, इस संकल्प को लेकर के आवश्यक संयम का पालन करते हुए आओ हम भी बचें, देश भी बचाएं, जग को भी बचाएं.
And it's time for national unity in the battle against this pandemic. India, let's put our health first tonight. And ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister's address to the nation on television this evening at 8 p.m. has touched every Indian who was watching and listening so keenly. A simple but very effective 9-point message that 130 crore Indians will now follow. Resolve and restraint, along with Sunday's Janta Curfew, is his mantra for our nation to tide through the coronavirus crisis. Here are the 9 points of his message, and then we shall discuss the takeaways.
आज प्रत्येक देशवासी से एक और समर्थन मांग रहा हूं। ये है जनता कर्फ्यू। जनता कर्फ्यू यानी जनता के लिए, जनता द्वारा खुद पर लगाया गया कर्फ्यू। इस रविवार यानी 2 दिन के बाद 22 मार्च रविवार को सुबह 7 बजे से रात 9 बजे तक सभी देशवासियों को जनता कर्फ्यू का पालन करना है। इस जनता कर्फ्यू के दरमियान कोई भी नागरिक घरों से बाहर न निकले, न सड़क पे जाए, न मोहल्ले में या सोसाइटी में इकट्ठे हो, अपने घरों में ही रहे। हां, जो आवश्यक सेवाओं से जुड़े हुए हैं उनको तो जाना ही पड़ेगा, क्योंकि उनका बहुत बड़ा दायित्व होता है। लेकिन एक नागरिक के नाते न हम जाए और हम देखने के लिए भी न जाएं। इन 2 महीनों में भारत के 130 करोड़ नागरिकों ने कोरोना जैसी वैश्विक महामारी का डटकर मुकाबला किया है। सभी देशवासियों ने आवश्यक सावधानियां बरतने का भरसक प्रयास भी किया है। लेकिन बीते कुछ दिनों से एक ऐसा माहौल बन रहा है, ऐसा लग रहा है जैसे हम संकट से बचे हुए हैं। ऐसा लगता है सब ठीक है। वैश्विक महामारी कोरोना से निश्चिंत हो जाने की ये सोच सही नहीं है। इसलिए प्रत्येक भारतवासी का सजग रहना, सतर्क रहना बहुत आवश्यक है। संयम, और संयम का तरीका क्या है? भीड़ से बचना, घर से बाहर निकलने से बचना, आजकल जिसे सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग कहा जा रहा है, कोरोना वैश्विक महामारी के इस दौर में ये सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग ये बहुत ही ज्यादा आवश्यक है और कारगर भी है। हमारा संकल्प और संयम इस वैश्विक महामारी के प्रभाव को कम करने में बहुत बड़ी भूमिका निभाने वाला है। और इसलिए अगर आपको लगता है कि आप ठीक हैं, आपको कुछ नहीं होगा, आप ऐसे ही मार्केट में घूमते रहेंगे, सड़कों पर जाते रहेंगे और कोरोना से बचे रहेंगे, मैं समझता हूं ये सोच सही नहीं है। पिछले 2 महीनों से लाखों लोग अस्पतालों में, एयरपोर्ट पर, दफ्तरों में, शहर की गलियों में दिन रात काम में जुटे हुए हैं। चाहे डॉक्टर हो, नर्सिस हो, हॉस्पिटल का स्टाफ हो, सफाई करने वाले हमारे भाई बहन हो, एयरलाइंस के कर्मचारी हो, सरकारी कर्मचारी हो, पुलिसकर्मी हो, मीडिया कर्मी हो, रेलवे, बस, ऑटो रिक्शा की सुविधा से जुड़े लोग हो, होम डिलीवरी करने वाले लोग हो, ये लोग अपनी परवाह न करते हुए दूसरों की सेवा में लगे हुए हैं। आज की परिस्थितियां देखें तो ये सेवाएं सामान्य नहीं कही जा सकती। आज खुद भी इनके संक्रमित होने का पूरा खतरा मोल लेते हैं। बावजूद इसके ये अपना कर्तव्य भी निभा रहे हैं, हर किसी की सेवा करने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं। ये अपने आप में राष्ट्र रक्षक की तरह कोरोना महामारी और हमारे बीच में एक शक्ति बनकर के खड़े हैं। देश ऐसे सब छोटे बड़े व्यक्तियों का, संगठनों का कृतज्ञ है।
And those viewers were some clips of the Prime Minister's 29-minute address to the nation. Should I call it an appeal to the nation? And we are putting out the entire chunk of what the Prime Minister said on republicworld.com. And after my show, we'll play it as well. Well, to look at the takeaways, and everyone's going to look at what the Prime Minister said with their own way. We have a fantastic panel. We have Sanjeev Sanyal, he's Principal Economic Advisor to the Government of India and a well-known author. We have Smita Prakash, editor of ANI. We have Uday Shankar. Uday Shankar is the chairman of Star India and also head of Asia for the Walt Disney Company, for Disney. Thank you very much, Uday, joining us. Dr. Bhuvan Lal is an author and filmmaker. Dr. Preetha Reddy is vice chairperson of Apollo Hospitals. Dr. Ramakant Panda is the vice chairman and managing director of the Asian Heart Institute. We've really distinguished names from the world of medicine today. We have Dr. Amar Patnaik, he is a Rajya Sabha Member of Parliament, BJD. Dr. Shantanu Sen, besides being a Rajya Sabha Member of Parliament, TMC, is a former president of the IMA. And Gaurav Bhatia is national spokesperson of the BJP. Thank you very much indeed. I'd like to come to you there first. You know, you are in the communications business. If I may put it that way, you've been a journalist. You understand social and public communication. I can think of no more critical time than today for the Prime Minister to guide the nation. How did you listen to the whole speech, this appeal where I think the purpose was to unite the country. But I think what came across to me, Uday, was that he did it with a tremendous amount of grace. And this Janta curfew he's speaking about is a self-imposed curfew. And in my view, Uday, he has shown exactly what our democracy represents. He has shown that in a country that is run for the people, by the people, and of the people, a Janta curfew is also a curfew for the Janta and by the Janta. A very unique idea, but with a much deeper message that goes with it. Uday.
Yeah, thank you, Arnab. I think you're exactly right. The Prime Minister is an exceptional communicator. He's always been able to connect very directly with everybody in the country. But today was one of his best speeches. It is an exceptional time. The circumstances are unique, and the Prime Minister came. He was gracious. He was leading, but not commanding, and he was very precise, and he was very collaborative. He did what he's really good at. He just went directly to the people, and he told them that it is time that they took matter in their hands. And the idea of Janta curfew is brilliant, simply brilliant, because if you go to the enforcement authorities in this country, it's really impossible for any agency to be able to enforce something across the length and breadth of this country at a time when there is so much panic, there is so much concern. And the best way to deal with this is to do what the Prime Minister himself suggested: restraint, resolve and restraint. And the task of executing this resolve and restraint and displaying this and bringing it into the public dominion, he left it to the people themselves. I think it was exceptional.
Yeah, I
totally
think
exceptional.
it's very unique. I think it's an absolutely brilliant appeal, and one of the reasons I thought so, I'd like to go to Dr. Preetha Reddy next, is because I think it's the most gracious way to defeat a deadly virus when the Prime Minister of India, Dr. Preetha Reddy, chooses not force, not pressure, not intimidation, and not that four-letter word called fear. But he really uses our collective will as a nation to catalyze our defense against the coronavirus. So he's not made it anymore a battle of the government or our medical system or our healthcare professionals against the coronavirus. He's made it a more public battle where he says, "Mujhe aap se kuch saptah chahiye," he said. "I want a few weeks from your life." With that sentence, he's drawn everybody into the battle. Dr. Preetha Reddy, what did you think of the Prime Minister's speech, his address or appeal, whatever you call it?
You know, to me, tonight he was a true leader, because for once it was absolute honesty and zero politics. You know, he came across as an Indian who cared for 1.3 billion Indians. We need to take matter in our hands and do something. And that just came across brilliantly. After hearing him and after him saying, "You've never let me down, will you do this for me?"
Oh, yes.
Which Indian will refuse?
Yeah.
Which Indian in their right senses will ever do anything else but stay? So I think Janta curfew was absolutely brilliant, and now it urges us to do even more. You know, social distancing sometimes was just a word, but I think people will take it, even the lower strata of society will take it very seriously.
Yeah.
I also like the fact that, he looked at people who really needed the daily wages. He said, don't let them down, they depend on you.
Yeah.
And, we will look at economic task force.
Yeah.
So, don't let down the people who really need that daily wages to take home. And I think those points were absolutely brilliant. And who will not listen? He was honest. He said, we have a problem, instead of fluffing around it and saying, let's not panic, let's not worry too much. He said, everybody, please worry. And I think that is absolutely the right way to handle it, because once people rise up and become responsible, half the battle is won. We still have a long road ahead.
Yes.
We have a huge battle ahead. Let's not get away from it. But I think this is a really brilliant move.
Absolutely. He didn't ask for anything really, Dr. Ramakant Panda. He asked for Sanyam and Sankalp, which is the patience to remain within our homes and our determination to battle out the virus. So I think what was phenomenal about this appeal was that he said that we can win the battle by sitting at home and being considerate. It was as simply put as that. But there were also some very, very sharp medical messages that he had there. And Dr. Panda, you run a large hospital. I'm sure you also noticed it, that he said, do not stress the medical system. I think he made a mention of don't have to go in for your routine checkups. It's a very practical thing to say. Just as he said, don't go into panic buying. He also spoke about elective surgeries. What do you think he was trying to stress upon? And as a medical professional, how do you think the Prime Minister's appeal today will help the larger cause of the battle against the coronavirus? Dr. Ramakant Panda.
I think it was a great speech by the Prime Minister. He appealed to the people rather than telling people what to do or enforcing something. And all we know that this is one virus that is affected, which is highly contagious. It spreads very fast. And the other problem is 80% patients don't get any symptoms. These are the people who spread the disease compared to earlier disease like SARS and MERS, where the majority of people are very sick. So it was very easy to identify them. Whereas in this situation, this coronavirus, 80% people are completely asymptomatic, very mild symptoms. They're very difficult to diagnose. The only way is for these people to stay at home, isolate themselves, we do not know, because only out of 80%, maybe 10%, 20% we are able to identify. So Prime Minister appealed to avoid unnecessary hospital visit, avoid unnecessary gathering, try to self-restraint is a great speech and a great appeal. Rather than telling people what to do, he has requested people to do. That appeals to the emotion of the people. So I think it will go across the strata to all layers, everybody in the country, so that they follow his advice and stay at home.
Yeah, you know, the point he makes, the point he makes there, and we'll come back to this, where the Prime Minister really, viewers, is telling you to do the small things. I think the point that he makes there about, Dr. Ramakant Panda makes there, Sanjeev, about 80% of the people who may have got the virus, who may contract it, will probably be asymptomatic. In essentially, he's saying that there are a lot of people who are healthy, who are not in the elderly age bracket, who are not, have no comorbidities or no underlying conditions. You may not even feel the physical impact of carrying the virus. I saw one point where he said this, Sanjeev, and and I'd also describe you more as a communicator today, like I introduced our friend Uday Shankar, more than just a principal economic advisor. Because when the Prime Minister said, tactically he touched upon our conscience, he said in Hindi, अगर आपको लगता है कि आप ठीक हैं, आप ऐसे ही मार्केट में घूमते रहेंगे, तो ये सोच सही नहीं है, आप अपने प्रियजनों के साथ अन्याय करेंगे. It's a very thoughtful reality check when he says that. For all the people of India, he's saying you may be asymptomatic, you may have no problems, you may be young, you may not have comorbidities, you may be feeling perfectly all right, but you have no choice but to comply in the interest of this country, because you will be unfair on others around you. I think, the message was quite evident. Sanjeev?
I think he did the right thing. I mean, we may be a poor country, but we are rich in social capital. And what he's doing is leveraging that social capital to make a point, but also to be able to fight against this, where, simply throwing large amount of administrative capacity or money at it, as many European countries have just discovered, just doesn't work. So I think we are using the thing that we are strong at, which is leveraging our social capital.
Yeah, that's very critical. Now the important thing to remember today is that the Prime Minister has not made a demand. He has made, Smita, a request, and there's such a world of difference between the two. He has not said, I demand that you do this. He said, I'm requesting you. It is a call, I would say, to the, how would I phrase it, the inherent altruism, the inherent sense of righteousness that defines in India when the Prime Minister says that coming Sunday, जब बहुत जरूरी हो तभी अपने घर से बाहर निकले. He's saying, save not just yourselves, save the country. I think the phrasing was very gentle, but very, very straightforward as well. Smita?
Yes, Arnab, but besides being, I of course endorse what all your panelists have said about reassurance, about empathy and everything. But also, in addition to what you said about Janta curfew, it was a very sharp message. It was an iron fist which was couched in velvet. Because, many people might be too young to remember, but I was a child during the 71 war, and like the Prime Minister said, I remember very clearly when the blackouts were there and we had to run inside the house. We were pulled up by our parents that this is a curfew. You go inside, because not only are you endangering yourself, you're endangering the community, the neighborhood around you. So he was very clearly saying, preparing us. This is a prep. This is preparing all the citizens that there might be a time when it's not just going to be a one-off message where you will come and you are going to try and do a curfew. This is something that might be necessary for days on end.
You think it's experimental? What he's saying is, therefore, are you trying to say, sorry to intervene, but what I'm asking you is, you get the sense, I found it very interesting what you said, that it was what you said, it was a very tough message. It was an iron fist in a velvet glove approach, you said. That's what you said. And then another very, very perceptive thing you said. Yeah.
This is the kind of messaging Arnab, this is the kind of messaging that is to be expected from a head of state or head of government in times of war, which is that you don't create panic among the audience, you don't create panic among your populations, but you make it clear that we are in a state of war. The enemy is not wearing a uniform. That is the only difference. The enemy is not visible to you, but we are in a state of war. So what you need from your head of state or head of government is not panic, but to tell you that the situation is serious and what he's doing is a drill. It's a drill, please understand, not to be taken lightly. A siren going off to stay indoors.
No, I thought that comparison was very.
And a
no, I also agree with you. In retrospect, I thought that comparison was extremely topical and perceptive, and maybe, just maybe, Dr. Bhuvan Lal, the Prime Minister, was sending a message. I think now that Smita says it, I also would agree with her. I think, is the Prime Minister preparing us, if necessary, for a longer and harder battle? So what you do when you're heading for a battle is you say, I'm now asking you for 1 day, first of all, voluntary. Here are my 9 suggestions, plus 1 day, stay fully in and celebrate those fighting for us. Is he really making the country an army, a collective army to battle this out if required for a long term? So tomorrow, God forbid, if the Janta curfew would not be a days, but be a 2-day, 3-day, week-long affair, we would get into, quote unquote, the drill, as Smita describes it. Dr. Bhuvan Lal.
Namaste, Arnab. I actually have a different viewpoint.
Yeah.
I think in this uncertain period that the world is facing, we have world leaders from Washington, London, Paris, everywhere in the world trying to communicate a message to their people. And our leader, the leader of Indian democracy, the largest democracy humankind has ever known, has come tonight and told us, be prepared, be ready, we are going forward in a time where things might get tougher. And when they get tougher, the country will need you. And this is that moment in the history of the world when a civilization like ours, which is older than most of the world, has to rise. And we will rise for this occasion. We will show world leadership. And that's what our Prime Minister is preparing us for. He made a fantastic speech, outstanding in every way. And the words he used, he deliberately didn't use cataclysmic words.
No.
He kept it in a way that we actually come forward and do our role, our bit to make this world ready for whatever comes through the door, comes in the future.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Now let's look at the medical factors. Dr. Amar Patnaik, Dr. Shantanu Sen, and of course Gaurav Bhatia. Sorry to come to you late, but occasionally, Gaurav, it's not such a bad thing to come to you last. But that was a joke, Gaurav. Please don't take it seriously. Please don't respond to that. My question is to Dr. Shantanu Sen and Dr. Amar Patnaik. Medically, what is the message you take out of it? Let me start with you, Dr. Shantanu Sen. What is the message that I think the message was social distancing. Essentially, social distancing is half the battle won, but it also goes against human nature. So it's difficult to do in very social communities like ours. May I ask you, Dr. Shantanu Sen and then Dr. Amar Patnaik, to take away the bigger medical message that the Prime Minister has communicated today to flatten the curve.
Thank you, Arnab. First of all, I will be requesting you to give me some time to express my view. It gives me pleasure in saying that our Honorable Prime Minister is still having that practice of asking for some time from the common people, as it is giving me the remembrance of 8th November of 2016 when he asked for 50 days time, first of all. Secondly, here I see a scene of self-contradiction. Just prior to Holi, our Honorable Prime Minister said that he won't be participating in Holi. On the contrary, in the Parliament, when all the oppositions are sincerely requesting for adjournment of Parliament House, he is saying deliberately that the Parliament will continue till end. And on the contrary, once again today he is coming out with a proposal of 1-day curfew. This is for your kind information that so far my knowledge goes, this 1-day curfew can hardly make any difference. We have to think how much prepared our India is. We have to consider with a budget of 1.1% for health, we are having still now we are having only 1 Pune Virology Center, and if disaster takes place really, I don't think India is not that much prepared to combat the battle. And this is the time to coordinate with the
Yours is a
states.
defeatist approach, Dr. Shantanu said. No, yours, I'm sorry to say, is a defeatist approach. Your approach is one where we can't do anything. I think when the Prime Minister puts the onus, let me put it to you this way, I did not want to make the debate political, but you did. I came to you as the former president of IMA, but you turned yourself into the Rajya Sabha member of parliament of the TMC. So I call upon Gaurav Bhatia on the debate tonight. I would like to ask you, Dr. Shantanu Sen, give me a better strategy rather than being the in-house critic. Give me a better strategy rather than being the in-house critic. Give me a better strategy.
One day curfew, one day curfew cannot make any difference. There should be a social awareness. That can't be done only a single day.
Can I respond?
There should be proper public
How many days do you propose, Dr. Shantanu Sen?
Minister is asking for
this
curfew.
Is symbolic. Do you understand? Symbolism is very important at a time like this. Gaurav is responding. Let's take the debate forward. Gaurav.
When so many people are coming
I got your point. Now I'll take the debate forward. Gaurav.
Why our Honorable Prime Minister is not allowing the House to be adjourned? You just answer my question.
You know, today, Arnab, Shantanu has tried to turn the debate into a political one. But if I respond to him politically, I think Narendra Modi ji's effort would be lost. And what is the message today? The message is that we have a Prime Minister who spoke like a statesman. He assured and reassured the nation. And he appealed to the citizens that you have a duty towards the nation. And you know why we will win? I will tell you. We will conquer and we will perish and we will eliminate this pandemic because we are united. We are not divided. We are not North India, South India. We are not opposition and ruling party, but we are all Indians. And I think the three key words are, first is restraint. He said restraint is the key word, Janta curfew. No hoarding of essential commodities, exercise restraint, and exercise restraint that don't spread rumors. Second was resolve. The resolve is to create 130 crore warriors. And this inspiring speech, Arnab, has created 130 crore warriors. My friend Shantanu is wrong when he says 1 day of boycott. No, sir. 130 crore man days. Please understand. We have a huge population. When you inspire the population, when you inspire the country, you create a force which is, you know, undefeatable. And also, very important is empathy. That we shouldn't forget. Narendra Modi ji spoke about Sir, can I make my point, please? I don't want to make it political. You are a fellow Indian. Let me complete my point. Third is empathy. He said, sacrifice. Avoid routine checkups. Don't step out of your house if not required. He said, do not deduct wages for people who are working for you.
Exactly.
And that is the spirit of sacrifice and empathy.
You see,
that is why I think it is a beautiful message to the country.
No, I think if I may, I'm so sorry to intervene. I just wanted to one more round with all our guests. You see, the question is, and I haven't been to Dr. Shantanu Sen, I haven't been to Dr. Amar Patnaik, sorry, of the BJD. Dr. Amar Patnaik, let me get you in first. Would you be cynical of something like a Janta curfew? I think it's a great drill. And I don't think it's going to be possible to enforce discipline by fear in a country. But discipline is at the same time necessary because you cannot fight this without social distancing. Countries like Italy have struggled to impose social distancing, but eventually they've done so with force. In our country, it's not being conceived through force. So I think it's very different, and I think it will be wholly successful. What do you think, Dr. Amar Patnaik?
I agree completely, Arnab, with you. In fact, we shouldn't make this particular battle political at all. Absolutely no politics should get into this. What the Prime Minister was trying to do in this, which we have seen, you know, in Orissa, we have handled this national disasters, these super cyclones. Similar kind of approach. First, you build confidence in the community. They become resilient. Community gets itself involved, and I think this is a battle which is to be won bottom up, and that is what probably the Prime Minister's message was doing for the first time, that a policy or a battle was being driven by the people themselves, And you know, the WHO has recently said there are two things which are very important for this to win this battle. One, you have to test and test and test. Number two, you have to do quarantine, self-quarantine. What he is doing in this, one-day Janta curfew is actually, it's a discipline, it's a drill. I completely agree. For maybe worse days later. But what is important is on that particular day, you are actually practicing social distance over the entire country, everywhere. So anywhere there is a kind of a network, it will get broken. Yeah. So I personally think that we shouldn't politicize this at all.
I agree with you. And now let me go back to Uday, let me go back to Sanjeev, Smita and everybody else. I just want to make one point here, Uday, that we...
Just may I come in for a second?
Yeah, sure, Smita, go on. You wanted to add in? Yeah. Go on.
You know, exactly as the doctor said, that if it's resolve and restraint, there's discipline and there is determination. And there is also appreciation. Don't forget that part where he said appreciate the medical fraternity, appreciate the healthcare workers, the sanitation workers who are working 24/7 and working so that we can all be safe. So he also said that. So let's not forget the appreciation.
Absolutely. I wanted to make another point. You know, we have also shown that collectively, Uday, as a nation, every time the Prime Minister has asked for a difficult choice, people have complied. And I don't think there's any more beautiful example than the LPG subsidies being given up in 2015, Uday. When the Prime Minister came, he was just elected 1 year into his tenure, and he said, I appeal to you, if you don't need it, give up the LPG subsidies. There were so many cynics, and they said, no, nobody is going to oblige. But the nation obliged. 1 crore consumers immediately gave up their LPG subsidies in the next few months. So there was a call that was made, and the call was met. Swachh Bharat call, Shramdan teams, 100 cities, it was complied with. Difficult choice. The Member of Parliament mentioned demonetization. But when he talked about demonetization, similar address, I remember, 8th October 2016, 8 p.m. The people swallowed the bitter pill. And again, they stood by GST. This is not even an economic measure. I think it's a national measure. It's about self-protection. And I think we underplay India's ability to come together on occasions like this or there. We sometimes do, but the country proves cynics wrong.
You're completely right, Arnab. We underestimate the power of the people of this country, the collective power of the people of this country. I think the Prime Minister gets it, and all the examples that you gave prove that point. But today, it wasn't just a Janta curfew. The Janta curfew was a most beautiful articulation of the collective power of the people. We must understand that leaders have a lot of authority, but there is no authority that a leader has which trumps the emotional and the moral authority that they have. And that is what this Prime Minister understands, that his best connect with the people of this country is emotional and moral. And when he takes up an issue on which he articulates in an emotional manner, he just galvanizes everybody to come forward. And that is something, I will again say, is bigger than any enforcement authority that any agency or any group of people may have. If you have to do this, he talked about Janta curfew. It was just about getting people to realize. Most people in the country are still in denial. They know that something very dangerous is going around, but they are still, they believe that, they're invincible, and it hasn't registered on them. Okay, going out for once, stepping out for 2 hours, 1 hour, it doesn't matter. By doing this, by saying that from 7 to 9 on Sunday, everybody will by themselves enforce a curfew on themselves is brilliant. I think he just invoked that authority that I don't want to police you.
Arnab,
you need to police yourself, and all of us need to stay safe. And in order for us to stay safe, we need to do a set of things. He even talked about things like postpone your elective surgery. Do not go to the hospital if it's absolutely not urgent. He's talking about all of those things, and recognition for people who are doing the right things, whether it is the medical professionals or whether it is the poor and the working class people who are most vulnerable to this kind of social distancing. Yeah. So I think in 30 minutes, he just laid out a whole plan of how to unleash the collective power of the people of this country.
It's about actually, Uday, you put it so well. Preetha, I'm coming to you. Preetha, the point being made by the Prime Minister is, to get over this feeling that somehow, you know, we very often unfortunately have this feeling, oh, this does not concern me. Or there's a feeling, oh, this is happening, it's worse in Italy, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Or it could happen to someone across the road, but not to me. Or maybe even if it happens to me, I'm not in the vulnerable category. This is about drawing everyone in, Preetha. This is about much bigger. I don't think we understood the full, it's about essentially, if you ask me, Dr. Preetha also, I would say, it's about not being selfish, but being part of a collective. Otherwise, you can't flatten the curve in a country like this, in a democracy.
Arnab, you know, Arnab, I've listened to speeches of heads of states of developed countries, you know, whether it's Singapore or the US, etc. And they have said that we as a government are doing X, Y, Z. And that's all we heard, that the government is doing this. Here the Prime Minister comes back and says that we as a nation, we as a responsibility have to do so many things. And I think that is really what leadership is all about. So I think that sorts it out. Two things I want to say is not too far ago, a long time ago, a lot was said about our clinicians and about our doctors and, you know, how they're not so ethical and a lot of things which really hurt their feelings. But I think today the true heroes in the country, the true Jawans are all our healthcare professionals. And I think today is the day to acknowledge them because they are in the line of fire and they are working 24/7 already, whether it's in the hospital wards, whether it's in the research labs, or whether it's in the diagnostics, and they're not shirking their responsibility. So I think we should really, really acknowledge them for the kind of work which they're doing. I would have been very happy if the Honorable Prime Minister had said that don't go for unnecessary checkups and tests, which I think at a time like this is okay. But what we should hear is that please remain healthy. You know, we are a nation of yoga. We are a nation of best practices. We can stay indoors and focus on our own good health. That itself is a battle won. You know, we can stay indoors and eat healthy. We can stay indoors and practice yoga and meditation. And I think that little bit is for all of us to communicate, because he had only 28 minutes to say a lot of things, but we as responsible citizens have to add more to what he has said.
So on that point, I'd like to just get a word in from Dr. Ramakant Panda. Dr. Panda, you know, when you heard that as a medical professional now, I see you there, you've still got your surgical cap on, I presume. You know, by the way, Dr. Ramakant Panda is on his feet for most of the day with his surgeries. He must have just come out of the OT. My question is to you, Dr. Panda, because that is a big shout out from the Prime Minister. You know, Dr. Panda operated the previous Prime Minister when he was in office. And now that's a big shout out from our present Prime Minister for the medical community. So would you like to say something in turn? Because I think it was very genuine when the Prime Minister said, he used the word, I have the Hindi word here, when he thanked everyone for fighting the battle against the coronavirus. He said, Seva Parmo Dharma. Seva Parmo Dharma. And it's a celebration for people like you, for people working in hospitals and the nursing staff and the support staff. Would you like to say something in turn to the Prime Minister, Dr. Panda, maybe on behalf of the entire medical fraternity, for his asking for a 5 p.m. Applause session for those who are putting their own lives at risk to fight this?
I think this recognition by the Prime Minister about the healthcare worker, not only healthcare workers and the daily wage, all those people who are keeping everything moving on and taking care of the health of those sick, especially those who are affected by coronavirus, is a great moral booster for not only doctors but the entire healthcare community. As Preetha said, not long back, the health doctors were vilified and you know, that looked upon somebody very highly unethical, and that today shows exactly vast majority of doctors, most of them are really ethical and really put their self-interest behind and work around the clock to save people and serve the society. And this recognition by the Prime Minister, my opinion, is a great moral booster for the entire healthcare workers, as well as all those people who work behind them also to supporting so that the entire healthcare system is working in the country.
Absolutely.
And you have to understand that this is just the beginning of the battle. And this is going to go on for months because it is, as I said in the beginning, is only most of the patients, people affected are mild symptoms. They are going to spread. The moment we become complacent, there is going to be a spike again. So we have to be really, as Prime Minister said, all of us to be complacent. It is not one Sunday curfew. Please understand, as Gaurav Bhatia said, 130 crore man days have been, that many people have been protected because the guy who is infected, who is not has symptoms, is going to, even if one day also going to spread at least 10, 15. So the critical point that WHO says that we have to, current spread rate is more than 2.2. Every person infected is spreading to more than 2 people. We have to bring it down below 1 to contain this. And it is going to go on spikes. We have to have restraint. We have to practice social distancing. We have to probably go on practice every Sunday also as a curfew to fight this menace. It is not a political battle. Coronavirus doesn't distinguish between political views.
Yeah, absolutely.
It affects across the board everybody.
It's evident. It's evident. And now my question to Sanjeev is, as the principal economic advisor, are you ready? Is our government ready, Sanjeev? Because the Prime Minister announced that there's going to be an economic task force, especially to deal with COVID-19. Now, there's genuine concern. Businesses can slow down. Consumer sentiment can go down. You've been in the global banking business. You know exactly, what I'm talking about. Other countries are putting billions of dollars. In the UK, hundreds of billions of dollars from their, from their Chancellor of the Exchequer. US also. Are you going to incentivize companies that are in trouble? Are you going to give some leeway to consumers? Some countries are even putting utility payments at bay. People are being told that your mortgages, for example, you'll get a 3-month moratorium on your mortgages. These are very essential steps. And I think the government needs to think beyond just getting people together. That's one. For the economy, Sanjeev. For the economy, I'm sure, Uday Head's a large media company. He knows what I'm talking about. For the economy, you need to step forward and help both businesses and people to keep the wheels going in this difficult time.
So Arnab, let me assure you that we take this whole matter very seriously. Obviously, the Prime Minister focused on the health issues first, because that is the first thing that we need to take into account. But there's no doubt that there will be an impact, not just on the world economy, but to us here in India as well. And we have to be prepared for that. Now, there are 2 ways in which this impact will hit us. One is, of course, the massive disruption in global supply chains. Now, that is something that we have been preparing some time for. If you will remember, as much as a month ago, Finance Minister had brought in industry, we had literally gone item by item, got a sense of where these items come from, how much supplies we have, and how we can prepare for this. So we have some sense of what we can produce in India, what we can get from third countries if we can't get it from China. And even if we have to get it from China, we have made special arrangements for those things. For example, certain APIs that pharmaceutical industry needs, and it's only produced in China. So from the supply side of things, we are very well prepared. Now comes the issue of how to maintain the cash flows of the economy through a cycle where there are clearly several industries like hospitality, tourism, even retail that have seen a sudden stop in their demand. And again, as you just heard, a task force has been put together under the Honorable Finance Minister. Let me assure businesses that we will do what it needs to keep this system going. Whether we have a large amount of space on the monetary side, if necessary, I'm sure the Reserve Bank will use it. Even on other fronts, we have a large war chest. We have 480 billion worth of foreign exchange reserves. Our current account has now turned positive because of the drop in oil prices, and that gives us a lot of space. It also brings down inflation, which also gives us space in which we can maneuver, and fiscal resources will also be deployed.
Absolutely.
Let me assure you that we are very well aware of what's going to happen.
I think that was
going to do what it needs to keep it going.
We just needed to hear that, Sanjeev. And second point is, Prime Minister is taking it step by step. He's getting the country together. He said, I'm looking out for the economy, and you look out for health. And if someone asked me, Arnab, how would you summarize what happened today?
Arnab.
I'd only say this, and I'll go into a break after this, that this is about coming out of our metaphorical silos, but going into our physical ones. It is about ending the mental us versus them divide, but creating physical barriers by staying indoors. I think, therefore, this is a wonderful way. I think if this is successful, we are setting an example for the entire world. And we are so proud of that. I thank you all very much for helping me deconstruct the Prime Minister's 28-minute address with this wonderful conversation. I'll see you on the other side, viewers.